So for this week's mysteries, you guys asked me to do the Lizzie Borden murder trial. Now, the interesting thing about this week is that you guys tied this week. You wanted two different mysteries. 39% wanted this one, and 39% wanted the Lost Colony of Roanoke. So I'm going to have to do both. It's only fair, right? So so today we're going to do Lizzie Borden, and then the next one will be the Lost Colony. But you'll get two this week instead of one. So my name is QueenAusetHeru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anyone and everyone who might like it too. Let's see. Please drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please hit me up on social media or check out my email address. All of that information is underneath this video. And also my Patreon and my, let's see, Amazon wish list. And if you want to give a donation to the channel, my Cash App and my PayPal. So let's get started. I also will put underneath here all the decks that I'm using. If I have a link, I will give you a link to where you can get a legitimate copy. So let's get started. So first and foremost, let me move over. We're going to get just right into the nitty-gritty. Basically, what happened with this, for those of you who aren't aware, in 1893, if I'm not mistaken, there was the Lizzie Borden murder trial. She was accused of having killed her father and her stepmother. There's a famous song about it. The kids are so cruel. They made a song about it. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her father 40 whacks. When she saw what she had done, she gave her stepmother 41. Something like that. I remember it from an old movie with Elizabeth Montgomery in it. But anyway, so basically what happened was they were found dead. Her father was found hatcheted to death, his head wide open. Apparently he had been taking a nap on the couch. And her stepmother was found upstairs in one of the bedrooms. She had been cleaning or doing something up there and was found dead up there. So the maid was outside washing the windows. I don't remember where Lizzie and her sister were. I think the sister might have even been out of town. But basically, of course, nobody admitted to doing these murders. And the prosecutor's attention turned to Lizzie. She was the youngest daughter. And I believe she might have been home, or she might have been the one that found them. I can't remember the detail. But they blamed her is the point. They tried her. And there was a lot of people who thought she did it. At one point, they said they found a bloody dress. One of her dresses had blood on it. But they were not able to acquit her. They were not able to convict her. She was found not guilty. And some of that could have been because she was a woman. There was a lot of talk about her gender. And remember, we're talking about the 1800s. So women didn't even have rights at that time. So a lot of people believed that women were not capable of murder. We weren't capable of a lot of things, including owning property, having custody of our children, and voting. So, you know, Lizzie, a lot of people think that she was acquitted because of that reason. Basically, they think that sexism worked in her favor. So, I don't know. We're getting ready to find out right now from looking at these cards exactly what happened. So, in the first card, we see what was the situation. The situation that was going on in that house right here. Remember I said he was laying down when they found him dead? Right there. Basically, this is what happened. In this first card, they're telling us that it was a difficult, oppressive environment. Her father obviously was not kind to her. The Ten of Swords indicates being cut up, feeling like somebody's stabbing you up. So her act of hatcheting him was literally how she felt. She felt like, you're going to see later more cards about it, but she felt like he was cutting her up, abusing her. So he was symbolically cutting her up, and she literally cut him up. He was laying there and he did get chopped up. That's our situation. Then I asked who did it. Now this is where it gets interesting, because this is who did it, right? This is the card I got for Lizzie. So Lizzie actually physically did the chopping. It was definitely her. But her sister comes up in the second card. Her sister knew about it and kept the secret. And it seems to me that based on this vibration here, they were both being abused by their father. The father comes up right here. It says that he is a King of Swords. The King of Swords, and it's reversed. So I'm going to show you in the upright what that looks like. This is the card. When it comes up upside down in the reverse, it means that he was a very mean, intolerant kind of individual. The King of Swords reversed isn't even communicative. You know, it's the kind of person that's just like, because I said so kind of energy. Very mean, abusive kind of communication. So he was abusing both of the daughters, and Lizzie did the killing, but the sister knows that she did it, and the sister knew that she was going to do it before she did it. That's why the sister wasn't there. I don't remember where the sister was, but she was out of town. And I believe that based on these cards that this is something that both of them discussed and talked about, and the sister, you know, covered it up for her. She didn't tell on her. She, you know, kept her secret. And Lizzie believed that justice had been done. This is the justice card right here. This is when you're being treated unfairly, you're being treated unjustly, and you do something to change that. You know, you do something that you think is fair. You know, so she thinks that killing him was fair. And I guess, I mean, think about it. If you're being abused, you're going to think it's fair too, you know. Some people may say, you know, why didn't they just leave? Well, they were older women. I don't remember how old they were, but they were older. They were in their late 20s, early 30s. They were older. And in that time period, unless you got married, it was nowhere to go. You were going to stay home with your parents and be a spinster, whether you liked it or not. Very few women would venture off by themselves because, like I said, you weren't really allowed to do anything. So you couldn't have a line of credit. You know, it was all kind of things that women couldn't do. You couldn't even vote back then. So basically, they, you know, she knew about it. She kept the secret for her sister. And the girls thought it was justice. Now let's get more into what was going on. These cards here, they all came up reversed. Every last one of them. So I'm going to read them reversed. But I'm going to show them to you in the upright. You can't see the artwork if they're reversed. So I'll show you the first one. This one here is the rescuer. And here's the shadow for the reverse. Assumes that the rescued will reciprocate. Keeps the rescued one needy. So basically, remember I talked about, you know, the sisters were both being abused. Lizzie called herself rescuing her sister, rescuing both of them, really. And later on in life, I remember reading that they stopped talking. Their relationship completely dissolved. So the two of them, unfortunately, you know, they kept each other's secret. You know, they didn't tell anybody, but unfortunately, they lost each other in the process. So it says here that, you know, she did it to rescue them, but she also tried to keep her sister kind of needy and endeared to her, you know, in the meantime. Kind of turned into the way her father was, actually. This one here tells us why she did this at the bottom right there. Blames all dysfunctional relationships on childhood wounds. Resists moving on through forgiveness. So she was still angry about the wounds inflicted by her father. She had never forgiven or healed or let go of it. And I think that's probably because he was still doing it. He didn't just abuse her as a child. He was continuing to abuse them. Now, the type of abuse probably changed as far as, like, was he, you know, hitting them or whatever the case was, but he was still abusing them. So she did not get over that, which I can't blame her. You know, I can't really blame her for that. And instead of, you know, venturing out on her own, which is what some people would have done, she decided to get rid of him. And like I said before, she really didn't have much. She didn't really have many options. She could have gotten married and moved with somebody else, but then you run the risk of meeting someone equally as cruel as your father. She just didn't have a lot of options, and she took one that I don't personally think I would have taken, but this is the decision that they made. And she also told us that she felt she was 100% dependence on others to the exclusion of effort. She was 100% dependent on her father and her stepmother for everything. And her father was said to be very stingy with the money, you know, how much he would give them for whatever. So she was 100% dependent and really didn't want to be. She didn't want to be dependent on her abuser. This card here is how I knew it happened, because if you take a look right here, it says that she got a leg up. A leg up is her older sister. See the sisters? The sisters are in both pictures here. So this is the older sister helping her. So she did help her. You know, she helped her plan it. She covered up for her. You know, she kept the secret for her, because she could have told on her, especially after they fell out. But she didn't. You know, they never, you know, had a relationship again, but she didn't, you know, rat on her sister. So she did help her. And over here, it tells us that they never were able to, even though the father and stepmother was gone, they were never able to heal all of the hurt and wounds that happened in their childhood. And you know, this affects your personality to be abused. So I get the impression that as they got older, Lizzie took on more of that, you know, kind of energy like her father, you know. So they were never able to have a happy ending. So they killed him and her, the stepmother, who was equally as mean and nasty, thinking that, you know, they would have a better life. But then after they were gone, they realized that the damage had really been done. You know, the impact, the trauma, you know, they probably both needed some, you know, grief counseling, PTSD type thing. But in that time period, it wasn't available. They're definitely a victim of their time. And the why. This one here says that Lizzie really truly believed that she had a good reason why. She had, you know, she felt like she was trapped. She felt like there was nothing else that she could do. You know, she would, if you left home at that time period without a husband, you probably would end up in, you know, prostitution. You probably could maybe find some kind of way to make a living. It just was not common. You know, it was few and far between. And she felt as though, you know, this was all she could do. And she did end up getting her inheritance after her father died, and lived rather handsomely off of it. I remember at one point they were saying her father was so cheap that he wouldn't even like get the house modernized. You know, at that point, houses had like, you know, they were going through modernization with plumbing and electricity. And they were saying certain things like that, he wouldn't even have the house modernized. So they said after that, after this happened, Lizzie did live very well. So that was our motive. Let's take a look at this one too. Oh yeah, I wanted to show these to you. These are the cards where I asked about the abuse, because I was trying to figure out what kind of abuse are we talking about. As you can see, two of these came up reversed, but I'm going to put them in upright because you won't be able to read them reversed. But I will explain. And one of these is reversed and one is not. So let me explain. I asked about the abuse itself. This card coming up reversed means that it was emotional abuse and possibly some inappropriate physical abuse. Not so much hitting, but touching. So this one right here tells us about the emotional and inappropriate abuse in that one. This one here tells us about how he wasn't letting her grow. He wouldn't give her really the things that she needed. You know, he was very tight with the money, didn't really encourage her, you know, to do things and to, you know, expand herself. This was common in that time period, though. It's not unusual, especially for a father, to treat his daughter this way. So it really wasn't, you know, unusual, but she felt as though she couldn't grow, like her life was stagnant. They said he took pleasure in being cruel to them. So this was another one, and it shows us physical abuse here, as you can see, the wounded knee, the wounded head. So there was violence in this house. There was emotional violence. There was verbal violence, possibly even some, sexual violence. There was violence here. So when she said she had good reasons, these are her reasons. Pain is growing. So it was like it just got more and more painful as she got older, more and more severe. And like I said, as you get older, the way a person abuses you changes too. Like I said, with the emotional, the mental, the verbal, probably putting her down, things like that. This one came up reversed too, telling her that she's never going to be good enough. So you see all of this, and she had this kind of like defeatist energy going on. So the stepmother and the father were abusing the girls. They were talking to them all kind of ways and treating them, all kind of ways. And I'm not going to say, again, that it's not usual for the time period. You had some parents, of course, that were very sweet and kind to their kids, and you had some parents who would treat them like this. So these are her reasons. She and her sister were being severely abused, and they felt as though that's all they could do. And we've seen a lot of cases like this throughout the centuries of people who have had something going on with their parents, and something awful like this went on. But unfortunately, that's what happened. So then I asked Lizzie. I said, Lizzie, look here. Did you kill your daddy or not? So I channeled right into her energy, and I just asked her that one question. I said, did you kill your father, and do you have anything to say? And she said, I killed them, and I hope they burn in hell. Okay? Any of you that have seen that movie, A Time to Kill, that's what he said on the stand when they asked him, did he kill the men who had assaulted his poor daughter. And basically, she didn't say the same exact line, but that's what this means. Let it burn. Yeah. Literally, she hopes they burn in hell for what they did to her. So, yeah, that is pretty intense, right? Then the center card here, it says you have to do it alone for now. This card says that she always felt like she was alone. She had her sister, but remember, they fell out. So even with her being there with her and keeping her secret, she always felt alone. She lost her mother, her real mother, at a very young age. I don't remember how old she was, but I'm going to tell you, anything over 50 is too young to lose your mother, okay? I'm going to keep that all the way real. But she lost hers, and the stepmother couldn't stand her and was equally as abusive as the father. And lastly, she said, make sure you are moving towards what you actually desire. Remember, I told you that she said that he kept her stagnant. He kept her from growing. He kept her from moving forward. Like, he didn't send her to school, or, most parents try to get their kid to do something with themselves. And her father pretty much just held her back. So she's saying, make sure that you, in your own life, are actually getting what you desire, because that's what she couldn't do. She couldn't really go after her desires until her father was gone. So this is our reading. Lizzie Borden actually did, with the help of her sister, kill, murder, whatever the word is for it, off her father and her stepmother. So I'm not surprised at this answer, to be honest with you. I was like, all my life I've heard the theories about who did it, and I just always had this itch, but I did not suspect the sister. The sister seemed straight-laced to me, so she had me fooled. But that's it. You guys, please let me know what you think in the comments section, and come back soon, because I got a lot more to say. See you later.